guess I will introduce myself.
Okay.
I'm Bett Peterson. I'm the community reporter for Hornbrook, and this report is for the Siskiyou Media Council. And today I'm with Jackie Nushi from the United Way, who's going to tell us a little bit about the LISTOS project. And can you describe a little bit of LISTOS emergency preparedness?
Sure. So LISTOS, basically the question is are you ready? LISTOS means ready in Spanish, but it's basically ready California for all. So everyone in California, are you ready for disasters? Have you prepared yourself properly? The state OES, United Way of California, is bringing this message to Siskiyou County because so many people are losing their lives, their pets, and their neighbors to fires. The LISTOS campaign itself is really quick. It's an easy guide, tips, and training for all of Siskiyou County. While many of us are preparing our homes, by hardening them and clearing around them, which is really important, many of us need to also prepare ourselves, our pets, and our neighbors to be able to evacuate or stay in place, shelter in place, because of a public health emergency or disaster as well, such as COVID-19. So it's all equally important to be prepared for fires and all these disasters. But I think it's really important that we as people in these communities, especially in the vulnerable portions, that they are able to take care of themselves. Because yes, we know that the fire department's coming to put the fire out, and the sheriff's department is coming to tell us to get out. But are we doing our part to make their jobs easier? So that's what LISTOS, California for All, and that's why a lot of what I've been doing on Facebook, I always started off with, are you ready?
Okay. And can you tell me a little about this disaster guide that you have?
Certainly. So we created a disaster guide. It's called Disaster Ready Guide. It's a big fold out, and it takes you through steps of what you need to do to be ready, and actually gives you opportunities to write in information. So the first part of being ready is to connect and protect. So what you need to be able to do is have people on the outside of Siskiyou County that you can connect to, because sometimes when there's a fire, everything goes down. Cell goes down, phones go down, contact goes down. And so it's important to have somebody on the outside to connect to say, hey, I'm okay. Can you tell me what's happening here? It also gives you a place to put people down that you may not remember when everything's happening. So the next one is evacuation action. So that would be number 2. We've all talked about how we should know, what roads to evacuate on. But I have a question, and that is, have you driven those roads? Have you made sure those roads go through? Have those roads changed over the years? What's it like in the winter? So it's important that not only do you know where you're going, but also drive where you're going. So the next step is a grab and go, which is your go bag, and your stay box is number 4. This is for sheltering in place, like COVID-19, and this gives you ideas of what you would put in your go bag. There's many types of go bags. There's pet go bags, there's work go bags, there's car go bags. We try to start it off simple and easy. And then step number 5 is safety tips. This actually gives you before the disaster and during the disaster of the things that you should be doing. And then number 6 gives you plan ahead and get ready. So it's basic tips for, let me flip this over, basic tips for different situations on what you should be doing. Oh, and 7 is basically a way to work on this project of preparedness step by step with a safety calendar. So it might, some might think it's difficult to try to put this all together, but actually it's pretty easy. But if you have difficulty sometimes putting it on a calendar and saying, this week I'm going to do my go bag, next week I'm going to do this. So that's basically what the disaster guide is all about.
Okay, now, can you tell us about how we can sign up for Code Red?
The best way for you to go to Code Red is to go to the county website, Siskiyou County website, and if it's not right there at the front, what you could do is in the search engine put Code Red, and you go right there. And the reason why I direct you to the county website is because I know for a fact that you will get on the code red list. I think sometimes people use the apps and it doesn't quite work as well. So definitely go to the Siskiyou County website, type in code red, and it'll take you right to it. You just put all your information.
Okay.
So, and remember when there is a code red, they do that based on where the disaster is, and they use certain map coordinates and that sort of thing. So you might be just outside of the evac zone and may not get a code red, and that's because they're actually looking at a map and saying, okay, we need to alert these sets of people only. So.
Now, you said something about a go bag. Do you need only one go bag and stay box?
Well, it all depends on how many people you have in the family. It all depends on how much you want to prepare. Your initial go bag, which we have examples of what should be in it in the disaster guide. A lot of people put that together and put it right next to their door, so that when you get the knock or you get the code red, you don't have to think. You just grab the bag and go. But you might want to make a go bag for work, because you may not be at home whenever there's an evacuation. You might want to make a go bag that sits next to your bed. If you have children definitely should have their own go bags, because when it's tough and it's scary, you want to make sure that they have what's in there that's going to keep them calm and settled. And the same thing goes for dogs. Rescue Ranch is putting on several trainings on how to prepare your pet. In fact, they created this really amazing poster that you put outside your property.
Can you turn it a little this way?
Sure. You put it out as your property, and you basically let the first responders know what animals you have on there, okay? And you can even write the animals' names. Let's say your favorite cow is Bessie. So you'd say, I have one cow and her name is Bessie. So that the emergency responders, if they see Betsy, they can go in there and attempt to get Betsy out with the rescues. So they have that going on. So the reason why we are directing a lot of our attention to pets and preparedness is that many people, when stressed, will not go anywhere without their cat. Or where is their dog? If their dog's been frightened, has it scattered off? So what we're trying to do is make the community aware that when you hear of a disaster, such as the Badger Fire, those around the Badger Fire, if we could get this information, or if the information had gotten to these people, they might have been thinking, okay, I need to prepare the dog. Let's get the dog in the house. Let's find the cats now. Let's make sure that we can get them in the crates. Interesting enough, one of the trainings is at Rescue Ranch is how fast can you get your dog in a crate. So she teaches people the things to do to be able to get to that. So and then the stay box, again, I would say at least 3 to 5 days of food, water. Again, we give you examples of what you should need there. How would you use that? Well, COVID-19 is a perfectly good example. If you have a stay box and you get stuck and you can't get out, maybe there's some food in there that's going to get you through the next couple of days until you can get to a store or get some help with that. So, and a stay box can be used if you have a disaster such as a train wreck where there's gases that have been released and you stay at home and that sort of thing. So it's just as equally important.
Now, why are we responsible for our neighbors?
Well, think about that. If you're all prepared and you've never once gone to your neighbor and said, are you prepared? What is your plan? Can we work together? You're suddenly now in the middle of a disaster, and you realize that your neighbor is an elderly person, and now you have to stop because you care, and you now have to, instead of evacuating yourself, because you don't know what that neighbor's going through, you don't know if they need help. But if you prepare and work together with your neighbors, all of your neighbors, as far out as you can go, and work together as a team to know, okay, this is what I'm going to do, this is what you're going to do, this is what is important to me, I need to make sure I take this, or that they are going to struggle with their wheelchair or anything like that. And then also, if you're working with your neighbors and you find that your neighbor isn't hardening their home, Again, that's another emergency preparedness thing. Maybe you could get together and help them get their home hardened, and then also help them get their go box and their go bag and their stay box in place. So this is a community thing. This is something that everyone in Siskiyou County should be working towards. So we cannot rely on county OES, the fire department, the police department. They have way too much to do as it is just trying to handle the disaster. It's our responsibility to also handle that disaster by handling ourselves.
All right, well, so I know COVID-19 made it difficult for you to do trainings. Do you have suggestions to receive the trainings in other ways?
I do. Actually, I'm working with state OES. We just implemented a text training, so you can sign up. I don't have the information on that yet, but trust me, I will get it out to you. It's basically a 7 text, 7 days. You choose the time. The text message pops up. It gives you a little bit of training, and then it asks you a question. You respond to the question, and then after 7 days, you're basically prepared. So now, the point right there is what I want to make. It doesn't take hardly anything to be prepared. Changing your mindset, realizing that you are vulnerable, and the question I have for your community is what are your vulnerabilities? Do you know what they are, and can you identify them, and then can you work on them so that you are ready and not depending on others? The other type of program that we're about to launch is a online training, about 15 minutes long, super easy. And then also, if you want more information on different types of training, I'll be happy to come out and do a training for you. Should last 15 minutes, maybe a half hour, and be able to share with your community. I can also do online, Facebook Live. There's all kinds of ways, because this message is so simple. It's so easy that we can always find a way to reach out to our community members.
Great. Well, I'm glad you were able to take some time to talk to me a little bit. How can people contact you to get more information?
You can contact me through my email, which is jnushi@norcalunitedway.org. And then you can also call me at 530-604-2860. You can also look for me on Facebook. I do a lot of postings there on LISTOS, on the different steps, the 5 tips, all kinds of information for you.
And I know Jackie's been posting with the Hornbrook Community Association. You've been doing postings there, and United Way has been very helpful with the Hornbrook Community Association. Been working on a Hornbrook mutual aid network that United Way has been supporting for bringing emergency food to people, and just very good relationship. Very glad that you came into our community. Jackie lives here in Hornbrook.
Yes, I do.
So we're
love it.
very fortunate that she's here, and she's supporting this emergency preparedness endeavor through the United Way. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.